You know what's funny? You've been told your whole life that if you work hard, save money, and follow the rules, you'll be fine. And here you are, doing exactly that. Write in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is, so I can get to know you better. To support the channel for free, don't forget to subscribe and like. Working harder than your parents ever did, and somehow you're still broke. Meanwhile, there's about to be the largest transfer of wealth in human history, $124 trillion. And most people have absolutely no idea it's happening. Not because it's hidden, because you're too busy surviving to notice. Let me tell you about Sarah. She was a school teacher. March 2009. The economy was in flames. Retirement accounts cut in half. Everyone was terrified. She took $50,000, money she'd saved for a house, and dumped it into the S&P 500. Her family thought she'd lost her mind. That 50 grand is worth nearly 600,000 today. She didn't have a finance degree. She didn't trade crypto or flip houses. She just recognized a moment, a crack in the system, and she walked through it. Most people stood frozen on the other side. Here's the thing. We're living through another one of those moments right now. Not a crash, something slower, quieter, and potentially way more powerful. But you won't hear about it on the news, because the news is designed to keep you anxious, not informed. If this is hitting different, go ahead and subscribe. I'm not here to sell you a course. I'm here to tell you what's actually happening while everyone else is distracted by whatever outrage is trending this week. So let's talk about what everyone gets wrong. Most people think wealth is earned. It's not. Wealth is transferred. It's inherited. It's captured. It's positioned for. You think the people who got rich after 2009 were smarter than you? They weren't. They just had capital when everyone else was paralyzed by fear. And here's the part that'll make you uncomfortable. The system isn't designed for you to notice these moments. It's designed to keep you reacting, keep you scrambling, keep you one paycheck away from panic so you never have the space to think strategically. You're not failing because you're lazy. You're failing because the game is rigged to exhaust you. But here's the paradox. The same system that traps you also creates windows, moments when massive amounts of money move. And if you know where to look, you can position yourself in the path of that flow. Right now, that number is $124 trillion. Baby boomers, the generation that bought houses for 30 grand and watched them turn into million-dollar assets, control about 52% of all wealth in America. That's roughly $78 trillion sitting in the hands of people who are now between 62 and 80 years old. Over the next 20 years, that money is moving. To their kids, to charities, to whoever's positioned to catch it. Gen X is about to inherit $39 trillion. Millennials, $46 trillion. Even Gen Z will start seeing money flow their way by the 2030s. But here's what most people miss. The opportunity isn't the inheritance itself. Most of you aren't getting a life-changing check in the mail. The average inheritance in America is around $60,000. Helpful, sure. Life-changing? Not really. The real opportunity is what happens when $124 trillion starts moving through the economy. When that much money changes hands, it doesn't sit still. It gets invested, it gets spent, it flows into real estate, businesses, markets. Every dollar that moves creates ripples. And if you're standing in the right place, those ripples lift you too. After World War II, returning soldiers used the GI Bill to buy homes and start businesses. That wave of capital created the American middle class. The boomers you hear so much about? They're the product of that wealth event. Now, they're the ones passing it down. And history is about to repeat itself. Except this time, the scale is 25 times larger than any government stimulus ever attempted. Let me break down what actually happened after 2009, because this is where it gets interesting. The S&P 500 hit 676 points in March 2009. Everyone thought the world was ending. But from that low point to January 2026, the market rose over 900%. $100 invested at the bottom became $1,000. And who benefited most? Not Wall Street traders, teachers, nurses, accountants. People who just kept putting money into their 401ks while everyone else was panicking. In 2010, the US had about 8.4 million millionaire households. By 2024, almost 24 million. That's 15 million new millionaire households in 14 years. That's the entire population of New York City becoming millionaires. According to UBS, the US added 379,000 new millionaires in 2024 alone. That's over 1,000 new millionaires every single day. Not through windfalls, through steady accumulation in rising markets. Now here's what makes this moment different from 2009.
Back then, three things aligned. Assets were dirt cheap, massive capital was being injected through stimulus, and most people were too scared to act. Right now, markets aren't crashed, but the wealth transfer creates the same conditions in a different way. Assets will get sold to settle estates. Money will get redeployed by heirs with totally different priorities than their parents.
This creates buying opportunities throughout the entire transfer period. The capital injection isn't coming from the government this time. It's coming from the wealthiest generation in history passing their wealth down. $124 trillion over 20 years. For context, the entire pandemic relief effort was $5 trillion. This is 25 times that. And just like 2009, most people have no idea.
You're worried about inflation, about your rent going up, about whether you can afford a house. Meanwhile, the largest economic event in human history is unfolding in the background, and you're not even watching. But the people who became millionaires after 2009 weren't geniuses. They were just positioned. They had some capital. They stayed calm. They didn't panic sell every time the news got scary. That's it. So what does this actually mean for you? Let me be clear. Waiting for a big inheritance is not a strategy. Most families won't receive life-changing amounts. The wealth transfer is highly concentrated. About 62% of it is coming from just 2% of households. The play isn't the inheritance, it's the economy that gets supercharged by all that money moving. When trillions flow into investment accounts, asset prices rise. If you're already invested, you benefit. When heirs buy houses, real estate values go up. If you already own property, you benefit. When inherited money funds new businesses, jobs get created. Workers across the economy benefit. This is a rising tide, and it lifts everyone who's already in the water. But you have to be in the water. Here's where it gets tactical. Younger generations invest completely differently than boomers. According to Bank of America, 72% of investors under 43 believe you can't get above average returns anymore with just stocks and bonds. So where's the money going? AI infrastructure, clean energy, healthcare innovation. Boomers loved blue-chip stocks and bonds. Their kids are chasing different opportunities. This matters because trillions of dollars are about to flow into whatever sectors younger people prefer. Real estate is another huge piece. The wealth transfer is going to reshape housing markets in ways that vary wildly by location. In places where boomers concentrated, suburbs, retirement towns, you'll see inventory increase. Prices might soften. In places where millennials and Gen Z actually want to live, competition is going to get fierce. Prices will climb. The same $500,000 deployed in Austin versus Cleveland will give you completely different outcomes over the next 20 years. Geography matters now more than ever. But honestly, the most reliable strategy is the boring one. Stay invested. Sarah, the teacher I mentioned earlier, didn't need a fancy strategy. She just needed two things: money to invest and the discipline not to freak out every time the market dropped. The market averages about 10% returns over long periods. If you invested $500 a month starting in 2009, you'd have over $250,000 by now. But that journey was terrifying. The European debt crisis in 2011, the government shutdown in 2013, the trade war in 2018, the pandemic crash in 2020, the bear market in 2022. At every single moment, the headlines screamed that the rally was over. And every single time, the people who stayed invested captured the recovery. If you're getting value from this, hit that like button and subscribe. This channel is about seeing the game clearly, not just reacting to it. Here's what people don't talk about enough. Wealth creation events don't feel good while they're happening. The years after 2009 didn't feel like a golden age. Every year brought new reasons to panic, but the S&P kept climbing. It crossed 2,000 in 2014, then 3,000 in 2019, then 7,000 in January 2026. The people who stayed invested got rich. The people who kept running to safety got left behind. Goldman Sachs found that if you missed just the 10 best days in the market since 2009, your returns dropped from 17% annually to 12%. Missed the 25 best days? Your returns got cut almost in half. And those best days happened during the most volatile, terrifying periods. The same pattern will probably play out during the wealth transfer. There will be recessions, corrections, crises. The headlines will tell you this time is different. They're lying. The underlying force, $124 trillion looking for somewhere to go, will keep driving opportunity no matter what happens in the short term. Let me give you some actual numbers. Say you're 35 today. You invest $500 a month in a diversified index fund for the next 25 years. At the historical average of 10% returns, your $150,000 in contributions becomes $665,000. At a more conservative 7%, it's around $450,000.
Now add in the wealth transfer tailwind. If economic growth runs just 1 percentage point higher because of all this capital moving around, that 7% becomes 8%. Suddenly, your $450,000 becomes $525,000. Bump your contributions to $1,000 a month as your career progresses, and that $665,000 becomes $1.3 million. Regular people hit millionaire status just by being consistent. These aren't abstract numbers. This is the difference between comfortable retirement and working until you die. Now, here's something most people don't think about. When $124 trillion changes hands, entire industries explode. Financial planning, estate administration, wealth management, legal services. If you develop skills in any of these areas, you'll find opportunities throughout the entire transfer period. The wealth movement doesn't just benefit heirs. It benefits everyone involved in managing and moving that money. Millennials and Gen Z went from 8% of high net worth clients in 2021 to 25% by 2024. Advisors who understand younger clients are capturing business that will compound for decades. This isn't a quick event, it's a 25-year marathon. The people who position early will compound advantages the entire time. The wealth movement doesn't just benefit heirs, it benefits everyone involved in managing and moving that money. Millennials and Gen Z went from 8% of high net worth clients in 2021 to 25% by 2024. Advisors who understand younger clients are capturing business that will compound for decades. This isn't a quick event, it's a 25-year marathon. The people who position early will compound advantages the entire time. Money is moving today. Waiting for a better entry point just means missing years of compound growth. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. What strikes me most about both moments, 2009 and now, is how visible the information is. There's no secret. The market bottom in 2009 was right there for anyone with a brokerage account to see. The $124 trillion transfer is documented in public research reports. Anyone can read them, but most people still don't act. In 2009, fear paralyzed them. Today, it's distraction and short-term thinking. The people who became millionaires after 2009 weren't lucky. They just acted on information everyone had. The same will be true now. So here's what you actually do. Max out your tax-advantaged accounts. 401k, IRA, HSA if you're eligible. For 2026, you can put $23,500 into your 401k. If you're over 50, add another $7,500. Stay invested in broad markets. Don't try to pick winners. Just own the whole market through low-cost index funds. Build skills that serve wealth movement, finance, estate planning, real estate. These create opportunities to capture fees from money in motion. Keep cash reserves for opportunistic buys. The transfer will create moments when assets get mispriced. Think in decades, not years.
This is a 25-year event. Short-term market swings don't matter. Long-term participation does. Consider where you live. If you're flexible, research where wealth is concentrating. Real estate in those markets could massively outperform. The U.S. has had a handful of wealth creation events that turned ordinary people into millionaires. After World War II, housing appreciation and stock market gains created the first mass millionaire class. The bull market from 1982 to 2000 created millions more, and the recovery from 2009 to now has nearly tripled the number of millionaire households. Each of these events minted millionaires who simply participated. No genius required, no insider access, just presence and patience. The Great Wealth Transfer is the next chapter. $124 trillion over 25 years.
Economic activity will accelerate. Asset prices will rise. Opportunities will emerge. The question isn't whether it'll happen, it's already happening. The question is whether you'll be positioned to benefit. Sarah didn't know in 2009 that she was capturing a once-in-a-generation moment. She just recognized that fear had created value. And she acted. The opportunity today is different in mechanism, but similar in scale. Trillions are moving. Millions of new millionaires will be created. History will record this as a defining wealth event. You know it's happening now. You know the scale. You know the timeline. You know the strategies. What you do with that knowledge will determine whether you look back on this period as the moment everything changed, or the moment you stood frozen while everyone else walked through. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I actually read them.